Chosen one, don't blink. Because right now, somewhere, a hand just reached for a clock they never had permission to touch. They swore you ran on their time. They swore they could read you like a face on a wall. Big hand, little hand, nothing hidden. Wrong. While they were watching the hands, you were the mechanism, and the mechanism just moved. Look who's checking their watch now. Look who's suddenly asking what time it really is. Look who's realizing the clock they thought they controlled was never wired to their hand at all. The same ones who called you predictable are lying awake right now doing math that doesn't add up. You leveled up. They expected a face they could read in one glance. You gave them 400 gears they'll never get clearance to see. They thought your calm meant simple. They thought steady meant slow. When they said, "You're always so predictable," what they meant was, "I can see the hands moving, and that's the only part of you I ever learned to read." The whole time you weren't running on their schedule. You were the one deciding what time it actually was. Press the like button and subscribe, not to pay me back, to pay yourself back. Chosen one, every bit of support winds this mechanism one notch tighter. This isn't a video, it's a maintenance log. A record of every gear they never knew existed while they were busy staring at the hands. Let's rewind to the day they met you. They thought steady meant simple. They thought quiet meant slow. They thought a clock that ticks that evenly must have nothing complicated running underneath the face. They glanced at the hands, decided they knew the time, and walked off thinking they'd read the whole mechanism. They never once opened the back panel. They never once asked what made the hands move at all. Here's what they'll never say out loud. When they said, "You never change," what they meant was, "I never learned to read anything past the face of the clock." When they said, "You're too calculated," what they meant was, "I need you to be careless, because that's the only rhythm I know how to keep up with." When they said, "Why do you always know what time it is before I do?" what they meant was, "Why does your mechanism run cleaner than mine ever has?" When they said, "You'll never find anyone who puts up with your timing," what they meant was, "I need you running on my clock, because I never learned to keep my own." When they said, "You've changed, you used to be so easy," what they meant was, "The version of you I could set with my own hands is gone, and I don't know how to reach the new one." Every one of those comments sounded like an accusation. Every single one was a confession that they never once got the timing right. They thought you were decoration, something to glance at, something that told a simple story at a simple glance. Hour, minute, done. Wall clocks don't have 400 hand-fitted gears behind the face. Wall clocks don't have a mainspring wound tighter than anyone standing in the room could imagine. They found that out the hard way. Not with a bang, just with a hand pressed to glass that didn't give. Some mechanisms don't open because they're broken. Some mechanisms don't open because what's turning inside is too precise for a stranger's fingers to touch without ruining the calibration. They didn't understand the difference. People who've never built anything that has to run exactly on time rarely do. Picture someone jabbing at a locked case, growing louder each time it won't yield, convinced that force is the same thing as clearance. It never is. Precision instruments don't respond to force. They respond to earned handling, and only that. Before we go further into what they never got to see, Chosen One, I need you to sit with something. This mechanism wasn't assembled the week they showed up. It was built years earlier, in a workshop nobody was watching, with no assistant, no second pair of hands, just you and a table full of parts that didn't fit together yet. There was a night, you remember it, sitting with gears scattered across the bench, no spring wound, no case closed, wondering if any of it would ever actually keep time. Nobody handed you the tools. Nobody helped you fit the first gear to the second. You did it alone, in silence, testing and failing and testing again, because you'd already learned what happens to mechanisms nobody bothers to finish. That's the clock they're standing in front of now, calling it too precise to be real, with no idea what it cost to get every gear to mesh. They thought this mechanism had always run this clean. You gave them the version that survived the workshop, never the workshop itself. They thought stillness meant nothing was happening. They thought if the face wasn't changing fast, nothing underneath was moving either. Every dismissive comment, every "relax, I was just kidding," every time they explained something to you like you hadn't already lived it twice, the second hand caught every one of them, logged the exact second, filed it under a gear they'd never get to see. Think of a hunter checking a trap line built years before the animal ever wandered into it. Patient, exact, indifferent to how long it takes, because timing was never the hunter's problem to solve twice. They thought a comment vanished the second it left their mouth. You gave it a timestamp precise to the second. When they said, "You're overreacting, it was nothing," what they meant was, "Please don't have logged the exact time I said that." Too late. It's recorded. It's timestamped. And no gear in this mechanism has ever needed their permission to keep turning. Chosen one, if you already know exactly which gear of yours they mistook for decoration, drop 214 in the comments right now. Not as a comment, as a gear number. Your way of marking how much of the mechanism they never got close to understanding, so every other chosen one reading this knows exactly how many parts are still turning that they never got shown. We're 3 chapters into the workshop. There's more below this face than they'll ever get clearance to see, and the mainspring's about to snap loose. They thought every conversation with you moved at their pace. They picked the topic, sure, but you controlled the escapement, the exact release, the exact rhythm, the exact moment a gear was allowed to turn, and the exact moment it locked. Imagine believing you're setting the pace of a clock when the whole mechanism was regulated before you ever touched the case. That's not manipulation. That's engineering. And engineering doesn't ask permission to exist. It just decides, quietly, what moves and what stays locked. They called you predictable, convinced they knew exactly when the next tick would land. What they never understood is a mechanism can tick at the same interval forever and still be running a calculation they'll never see the shape of. They thought they were setting the rhythm. You were the one holding the escapement. The moment they became convinced they'd figured out your timing, that was the moment they stopped checking, and that was the moment you learned everything you needed to know about theirs. Their certainty became the crack in their own mechanism. Only someone who assumes a clock is simple stops listening for what's actually ticking underneath. Imagine a bomb disposal tech so sure of the wiring they never bother tracing it twice, cutting on instinct, bragging about the read before the timer's even confirmed. That's what confidence without verification sounds like in a room where precision was the only thing that ever mattered. Loud, premature, and wrong the exact second it counts. They thought their read on you was the finished mechanism. You gave them a face that looked simple, and let their own certainty do the damage on the way out. If you've made it this far, you're not scrolling. You're standing at the workbench with me. So do the one thing that keeps this mechanism running for the next chosen one who needs to hear it. Like this video, comment your gear number, and subscribe before the mainspring lets go. Because what happens next isn't gentle. They mistook your quiet for confusion. Loud people do that. They talk over silence because silence makes them nervous. And nervous people give away more timing information than they realize. Every smug explanation, every patronizing correction, every moment they assumed you were running slow, all of it fed directly into a calibration they didn't know was live. They thought they were adjusting you. You were reading exactly how far off their own timing had always been. Imagine a predator that never needs to sprint because it already knows exactly when the herd's attention drops. Not the loudest thing in the field, just the most exactly timed. That's what your silence was doing while they mistook it for hesitation. They thought they were setting your pace. You were logging theirs. There was a season where you went quiet, pulled back, stopped explaining the mechanism to people who never intended to handle it carefully in the first place. They called it a breakdown, told people you'd changed, gone cold, stopped working right. It wasn't a breakdown, it was a full overhaul. You were behind the case the entire time, replacing gears that had worn thin, retensioning a spring that had been stretched too far for too long, sealing entry points that used to let the wrong hands reach in and mess with the timing without so much as asking. A forest doesn't announce its regrowth while the roots are still underground. From the surface, it looks like nothing survived. Underneath, the system is already deciding exactly what comes back and what doesn't come back at all. They expected the old, easy access to return, apologizing right on schedule. You gave them a mechanism running tighter than it ever had, with zero interest in the old timing. When they said, "You used to run so smoothly," what happened? What they meant was, the version of you I could adjust freely is gone, and nobody handed me the new calibration. They weren't wrong. That version isn't coming back. She replaced the whole movement. While all this was happening, there was an audience. People glancing at the clock from across the room, forming opinions about a mechanism they'd never once been given clearance to open. They admired the face, called it elegant, precise, impressive, never once wondering what it actually took to keep something running that clean on the outside while it was being quietly rebuilt within. Some of them gossiped, said the clock looked closed off lately, harder to read. What they were actually seeing was precision mistaken for distance, because a mechanism with the case wide open all the time isn't more trustworthy, it's just easier to jam. You didn't owe the audience a play-by-play of every recalibration you quietly made. The hands stay accurate, that's the whole report they're entitled to. They didn't fall into anything. They built the trap themselves, bragged about the craftsmanship, and then walked straight into the center of it. Chosen one, this is where it stops being subtle. You didn't force a single move. You didn't manipulate a single gear that wasn't already theirs to turn. You simply gave them exactly what they craved, a face that looked easy to read, and every conclusion they drew from it became another turn of a key winding tighter around their own certainty. A predator that stalks a scent trail doesn't need to be faster than the prey. It only needs to know exactly where the prey believes it's safe. That was you, not the aggressor, the one who understood the terrain first. They thought they were reading you accurately the whole way through. They were narrating their own downfall out loud, one confident guess at a time, and you never once had to correct them. We are one chapter away from the moment the spring lets go, chosen one, and I need this in front of every person still glancing at someone's clock face, mistaking it for the whole mechanism. Like it. Subscribe. Drop your gear number one more time. What's next is the part they replay at 2 a.m., checking a watch that no longer makes sense to them. Here's the moment they still haven't recovered from. The day they tried to stop the clock, reached in, grabbed the second hand, tried to force the whole mechanism to their pace one final time, and felt nothing give. No resistance to push against, no hand to argue with, just a calm, level voice on the other side of the case. It was never ticking for you. Not loud, not dramatic, just a fact, stated the way a mechanism states the time, without needing anyone's agreement to be accurate. They showed up expecting the same predictable rhythm, the same easy access to the second hand, the same version of you that let them believe they'd been keeping the beat this whole time, and found out the mainspring had been recalibrated without their knowledge, running on a timing they were never given the reference point for. They expected a scene. You gave them silence. They expected an argument to win. You gave them a mechanism that had already moved on to the next hour without them. Think of a tide pulling out further than anyone remembers, quiet, unremarkable, until the one person who understood the ocean realized it wasn't retreating. It was clearing room for a timing the old shoreline was never built to hold. When they said, "You'll regret cutting me off," what they meant was, "I regret never learning to read the mechanism while it still ran on a schedule I understood." They didn't get unwound for who they were. They got unwound for assuming a clock keeps time for whoever's standing closest to it. Let's walk into the wreckage, chosen one. Not out of spite, out of truth. Their confidence didn't just crack. It came apart like a mainspring pushed past its limit. One clean snap, no warning, and every gear that depended on it grinding to a stop at once. The aftermath isn't loud. It's quiet and it's permanent. They lie there most nights now, running the numbers like a gambler replaying a hand they were sure they'd won, trying to find the exact second the odds turned, never once realizing the table was never theirs to win from the first deal. They can't look at a steady person the same way anymore. Every calm voice makes them flinch, waiting for the moment it turns out to be running a calculation they can't see. Every predictable rhythm now reads as a countdown they don't have the code to stop. Trust doesn't fade for them anymore. It seizes up on contact, the way a mechanism does the instant it senses a hand that was never cleared to touch it. You didn't destroy their confidence. Their confidence destroyed itself the moment it collided with a mechanism built to survive exactly this kind of pressure. You didn't traumatize them. You exposed a calibration that was broken long before you arrived. You didn't teach them paranoia. You taught them precision. And it's a language they never bothered to learn while they still had the chance. They will never mistake a quiet face for an empty mechanism again. Not yours. Not anyone's. After the mainspring reset, something interesting happened. The mechanism didn't stop running for everyone. It didn't sit there, jammed, waiting for the old hands to come back and beg for a new calibration. New people came through. Carefully calibrated ones. People who didn't force the second hand, who didn't demand the full mechanism on day one. who understood that being shown the gears is a privilege, not a default setting. The old ones found out through the grapevine, heard someone new was being shown the inner workings, the escapement, even the parts of the movement they themselves were never trusted with. And the jealousy that came with that news told you everything about what they actually wanted, not you. Access to the timing. There's a difference, and it took a mainspring snapping for them to finally learn it. They thought the clock would stay frozen forever out of loyalty to them. You gave the calibration to people who actually knew how to wind carefully. They thought the face was the whole clock. You knew it was just the surface reading. They thought a sealed case meant deception. You knew it meant precision. They thought quiet meant stopped. You knew it meant running, just not on a rhythm they'd ever been given the reference point to read. They thought they'd understood your entire mechanism in one glance. They'd seen the hands, admired the numbers, and mistaken a readable face for full access to the movement underneath. The whole time, Chosen One, you weren't hiding a clock. You were building one, gear by gear, spring by spring, calibration by calibration, while they stood across the room, congratulating themselves on a read that was never accurate to begin with. Now they check clocks differently. Every steady face makes them wonder what's actually turning underneath it. You didn't just stop running on their time. You taught them that mechanisms exist at all, and they'll never mistake a face for a movement again. There's no anger in this for you anymore. No need to stand at the case and announce what they missed. You just run on your own time now. Behind a face they thought they understood after one glance. Inside a mechanism they'll never see the full architecture of. Behind a calibration they stood near without ever asking who said it. They still talk about you sometimes, still describe the face, still mistake the hands for the whole mechanism. Let them. Some people were only ever cleared to tell the hour. There's a strange peace in that, Chosen One, once you stop needing them to understand it. You don't owe anyone a tour of a movement they were never going to handle carefully. You don't owe anyone an explanation for a case that stayed sealed, or gears they never got shown, or a calibration they stood beside and never once thought to ask who set. That was never the plan. The plan was always to keep calibrating, quietly, whether they were watching or not, whether they understood the mechanism or not, whether they ever got shown the movement or not. And Chosen One, look around now. Every gear turning behind that case you built. Every calibration, you earned the right to set yourself. Every second this mechanism keeps belongs to you. Not because you defended it in front of an audience, but because you kept building long after the people who doubted the movement stopped watching. If this one found you tonight, Chosen One, do this before you go. Hit that like button, so the next person still glancing at someone's clock face, mistaking a readable hour for full access, finds their way here too. Drop 214 in the comments one more time. Mark your gear. Let every other Chosen One watching know exactly how precise this mechanism really is. Comment unwound if you're done explaining locked cases to people who never earned the calibration. And subscribe, because there are more gears in this mechanism than we opened tonight, and the ones still sealed are the ones worth coming back for. If someone in your life is still checking your face, convinced they've already read the whole hour, send them this one. They'll recognize the mechanism before they finish watching.